It's tasty, tetima, takatifu. Tuesday morning, Twangwa Pai goes to the street disciple. When it's 7, you know it's all about the docket. Tumeona maajabu Tanzania yesterday. Unapata swearing in ceremony yenye haina mashabik. What's your take on that?
We have a despicable state of affairs in Tanzania.
Yeah.
Yani mtu anakuambia she got 31 million votes. Na hataki 31 million followers wakuje swearing in ceremony. Sasa hiyo ni upuzi gani? If you truly are popular and if truly you have gotten 31 million votes, be sworn in and let the people who voted for you come and be seen to be celebrating that you are voted for. But secondly and most importantly, Kenya sent her dictators there because this was a dictator's affair. It was a party for dictators. All dictators in the world were invited. When GenZs were being butchered and killed on the streets, who was the Minister for Interior? It was Kithure Kindiki.
Yeah.
So they sent him there and told him, look, someone has just read your script and done terrible things. I wouldn't be surprised if Samia Suluhu was getting tips from me on how to kill young people and butcher them. And, you know, we have seen graphic, horrible images of young people in Tanzania and what has happened to them. And Kenya should not have been a participant to that. And I'm sure the president would have wanted to go, but he sent his deputy because they read from the same script. A terrible script, a script of disrespect for human rights. So when you see Kindiki there, he's Kenya's representative to Tanzania. He's now Kenya's icon of a repressive regime.
Yeah.
They enjoy dictatorship. They are there to celebrate a bloodbath. They are there to show that Kenya stands with a bloodbath. They are there to tell them that is what we did last year. We killed our young people, we walked on their blood, and we told them there's nothing they can do in our country. And we are here to congratulate Tanzania for killing all those hundreds of people who died, if not in their thousands. And we are telling them, you can never taint a people's resolve. Let me tell you, there are a few words I picked from Tanzania that really touched my heart. The first one, there's a young person who said, nitakapo kufa, musiokote maiti yangu, munikanyange mukielekea kuchukua risasi yenyu kupigania Tanzania. Another one said, mimi wewe umepata risasi yako, wacha na mimi nipite nikapate risasi yangu nikipigania Tanzania. And then I remember the final one, it was hilarious but painful at the same time. He said that atakaye kufa wa mwisho achukue simu zetu aje nazo kule binguni, tunasikia kuna wifi ya bure. So the young people in Tanzania had offered themselves that if I die, step on my body and move to get your bullet as you fight for Tanzania. That if you have gotten your bullet, get out of my way. I need to go and get my own bullet as I fight for Tanzania. And another one says, if you die, do not be worried. The last one will come with our phones in heaven. There is free Wi-Fi in heaven. These are people who went to the streets resolved to fight for Tanzania and decided that even if I die, I will have died for a good cause. I think shame on every person who attended that swearing in. Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. May you never know peace.
Your design. Obuya.
It is sad to see what happened in Tanzania. And reports, some sources are saying that over 3,000 people died for those 2-3 days that the mayhem happened. And Tanzania just shows you how far we are as a country to try and democratize our society, because to imagine that what happened in Tanzania can happen in Kenya is unimaginable actually, because for internet to be switched off for 3-4 days, you know, no communication. The only thing you are listening to and you are hearing to is
National
TBC,
Broadcasters.
the National Broadcaster, Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation. That's the only outlet of the news that people are getting. And when you start to see the videos and the pictures that were taken when the mayhem was happening, you feel for what happened for Tanzania. And I actually think that we need to do better as a society. We need to do better as a community, East African community, because when you look at us, you wonder where democracy is. You think that Kenya is a heaven, and with all our problems that we are going through, you think that we are far much better. Tanzania seems to be in 2007 or even 1992. because when you hear what they are saying on TV, just praising Mama Suluhu, Mama's Daktari Samia Suluhu Hassan, kila kitu ni Daktari Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Yeah.
So I think, and for her to have done that swearing in private, it just shows you that she's a person who is afraid of her own shadow. Because, you know, for you to say that you've got 31 million votes and you cannot do a swearing in for the first time in a long time, you are doing a swearing in privately kwa kambi ya kijeshi, you know, it just it's an irony. Actually, it's a fallacy.
Yeah.
That you're saying you are that popular and you are blaming the foreigners for all the happenings that took place in your country, and you know, it might happen that he will get away with it. She will get away with it. She will rule for the 5 years she's going to be a leader. But Tanzania have now woken up. You know, we never imagined that Tanzania can go through what they went through. You know, walikuwa nasema sisi ndio wakorofi. Majirani hata alituita mtiririko wa viumbe kutoka Kenya vya kuja Kenya Tanzania cause chaos. But it just shows you that as a society we are waking up, because it has happened in Tanzania. It might happen in Uganda. It might happen in Rwanda. And they will call us bad names because they think that we are the one influencing whatever that is happening in Tanzania or whatever that might happen in another country. But it is good for our society that we must say no. If you feel that something is not right, stand up and fight for your rights.
We've seen world over, when presidents are being inaugurated, it's normally a public affair. And I think it's enshrined in most of the constitutions world over that lazima uite watu waje washuhudie. So it looks like wanavunja sheria from the top.
This is a dictatorship, period. Mama Samia Suluhu, first, you have spoiled for all women who are aspiring for political office. Because we have never seen such a ruthless woman. In fact, even
mothers are always...
Idi Amin was not this cruel.
Yeah.
We are happier to be ruled by Idi Amin than Samia Suluhu.
Yeah.
So she's ruined for women. Number two, she's ruined the religion that is Islam. Because people are saying, unu Islamu mgani. I mean, Islam has a respect for human life. Islam has a respect for dignity and honesty. Hawapendi haram. Sasa kura haram ni za nini? I wish because these elections was happening during Ramadan. Ndio saumu yake ikataliwa hata na Mungu. I mean, this is terrible. But also, I think it's not just Samia Suluhu. This is a message to William Ruto, and it's a message to some of the members of parliament we have in this country. You need to know when to let go. Yani munatoanga wapi nguvu? Mtu hakutaki, watu hawakutaki, and you are forcing yourself on them. Yani wewe unajisukumia kwa watu wanakuambia we don't want you. And then you are busy forcing yourself on people. You're saying, I'm going for another term. I'm going for another term. You know, look at Museveni here. Some old guy who can't even fathom how to walk properly. And he's still forcing himself on people. And he knows the people don't want him.
Yeah.
I mean, when did you become more important than the millions of people that you lead?
Yeah.
We need to get to a place where we ask ourselves, by the way, if I was vying for a seat today, alafu ni realize wale wananchi najiforce on, they don't want me, I would go home. Do I have to be their leader? So Mama Samia Suluhu, you are impoverishing Tanzania. In fact, in the whole of Africa, nobody has a longer motorcade than Mama Samia Suluhu. A poor country that is struggling to feed its own people. Akona motorcade ya gari karibu 70. Mapikipiki mingi. She's all over worried about her security, her well-being. She wants to impose herself on people. Na hii ndio opposite tunakata. I mean, I come from a constituency where people are telling their MP hatukutaki. And then he keeps forcing himself on people and saying hata mimi nakuja term nyingine. Na ulizo unakuja term nyingine kwa watu wa gani? Hao wenye wakutaki. So I think leaders need to learn the lesson that you need to know when to say this is where to stop.
Yeah. Presidents who actually attended that, including our very own deputy president, Wanambiwa wakona that bad track record, including Chapo, Daniel Chapo from Mozambique, who it was reported that he was sworn in before 1,500 people a while back.
Tanzania just needs a rebirth. I think they have been in slumber for far too long, and they need a rebirth. And you know, some people have been asking, why are Kenyans so much concerned with Tanzanian election? but an injustice somewhere as in is an injustice everywhere.
Yeah.
And you know, for Tanzania, even their constitution also needs a rebirth, because you know that constitution says for as long as the electoral body has announced Samia Suluhu as a president,
That's it.
That's it. You can't even go to court. You know, so where do you go if you have grievances? Do you go to the streets, or where do you go? Because you know, those are some of the things that that Samia, if she's magnanimous enough, then she must bring all the people together to make sure that then going forward, how does Tanzania move? You know, because you know, for far too long they have been in a slumber. They thought that those nice people who can't even go to the streets, people who can't say no if we are somebody stepping on your toes, but unajua unajifinyilianga paka unaona hapana. Hata ukifungia paka kwa nyumba na upige for long itakukaripia. And so I think from now on, I think this is a moment that they must then grab that moment and make sure that then going forward they make some changes, even their laws, so such that then they give a chance to an election loser even to go to court to say, no, I feel aggrieved, I feel ABC did not happen, then I have to go to court. For an opposition leader, can you imagine we are doing an election? Imagine 2027, Raila Odinga is still alive, and we are doing an election, and Raila Odinga is incarcerated at committee, and people are just going on with the election as normal. It can't happen. Even if today you arrested Gachagua and we are going to an election, that election will not happen, because people will just say no. Because we as Kenyans, I think we know our rights more, we are more informed, we are more politically aware, and so people will just say, why are you arresting an opposition leader while we are going to an election? Because Tundu Lissu has been incarcerated for all that time, and I think he was just released after the internet was also opened. And so I think Tanzanians are telling their leaders that, hey guys,
enough is enough.
Yeah,
we are tired.
We are tired.
Are we ever gonna realize democracy as we keep fighting for it? And what's gonna be the GenZs' role in trying to reshape the future of African politics? Because everywhere where African nations conduct elections, there's always disputes, there's always irregularities and everything in between. Yet we are seeing the uprising of the younger generation saying we need to shape the future of our continent.
We can't discuss Africa without discussing African Union.
Yeah.
So either we disband that moribund outfit, or we throw young people into the top leadership of the African Union. The African Union, as it is constituted right now, is a useless outfit that congratulates dictators when they kill people, that attends the swearing ceremonies of people who have been elected and procedurally, and so on and so forth. So for Africa to rise and for Africa to become anything, this African Union outfit first must be disbanded. In fact, tunafaa tufanye maandamano huko Addis Ababa hiyo kitu kwanza ifungwe. It's rubbish. It's not working for us. It's not helping anybody. Secondly, I am praying that people will have the courage to put together the evidence and take Mama Samia Suluhu to the ICC. Those were crimes against humanity. That was genocide. It must not be allowed to happen. We need to find a way to compile, and that's why they were trying to switch off the internet. But we need to find a way to compile all the evidence that was collected in Tanzania and file a serious petition against that Mama Samia Suluhu of Tanzania, ICC. Na akibebwa aenda afungiwe jera for life so that she becomes a lesson to the rest of the African leaders. But most finally, I think even for us as Kenyans and the whole of the African region, is just to discover that sometimes the West is also an insult to us. Because there are times when they see all these atrocious things happening and they don't want to interfere conveniently. But when you refuse to pay their loans, they interfere properly and greatly and in a big way. So let us find a way to ensure that we do, if we are saying we mean well for Africa, let us also show it in action.
Look at Sudan itself, it's in turmoil. Look at Somalia, it's in turmoil. Look at Tanzania, it's in turmoil. Uganda, you're going to an election next year, January. Besigye is still incarcerated. Bobby Wine is crying every day that they are being picked on by the government. We are still having 2 Kenyans who we don't know where their whereabouts.
Still missing.
Yes, they are still missing in Uganda. And so the region, with all our problems, Igunza, imagine. Can you imagine that Kenya, with all our problems, we look like we are the heaven of peace around here.
Pesetter.
We are the pesetters. And how I wish that our leaders can smell the coffee and just say, because these GenZs, these ones don't care. Sio kama sisi milioni ulikuwa unasema we, alafu unajikunja. Hawa, they will say we, and then they watakwambia we tupige risasi, unautuletee simu binguni, naambiwa kuna wifi free kule binguni. Kwa hivyo, I think our leaders need just to smell the coffee, and they need to change the way we do our things.
Yeah.
For President Museveni to still insisting that he wants to go for another term in power, having led for over 4 decades, it's an insult to, there are people who are born paka sasa wamefika 40 na wanajua tu president ni President Museveni. Hata I think some say Museveni wa Kenya, because that's the associate presidency with Museveni. At least Tanzania, hata kama ni sham, but they change presidents.
Kirudi back home, we saw President akikuja upande wa Western for what is termed as a developmental agenda for roads, health, housing, education, and electricity access. But of course, we know it's more of a political gesture than it is what they are saying it is. Fanya Mambo, what did you pick from Ruto's tour in Western Kenya?
There were promises that amounted up to close to 20 billion. But sasa hii upuzi itaisha lini? We have 500,000 young people at home for 6 months.
Yeah.
Those are university students. And then you come and tell us that you are doing a development tour in Western and you are promising them things to the tune of 20 billion. I've seen they're trying to launch a fertilizer manufacturing plant for the tune of 100 billion.
Yeah.
Where do we get money to say that we want to start a new project for fertilizer to the tune of 100 billion if we can't pay 7 billion for university lecturers? I want to connect that with what is happening in Sudan. The conflict in Sudan, Kenya is right at the middle. Yeah. That nonsense was birthed at KICC. And we saw RSF leaders here in KICC. Now there's a bloodbath in Sudan. But let me tell you how it connects. Do you know you used to sell tea worth 5 billion to Sudan? So we lose tea exports worth 5 billion to Sudan. Alafu tunaenda kukopa World Bank the same 5 billion tukuje kupatia youth in the name of Nyota program. Are you seeing how stupid this administration can be? You go and create chaos in Sudan. Sudan that was buying from us tea worth 5 billion. Now we can't get that as earning. Ndio tunaenda kukopa World Bank 5 billion tukuja kupatia vijana wetu ati ni Nyota fund, ni Nyota program. So we have an administration that is doing all the wrong things. And by the way, how much blood is enough? Because now that blood is on the hands of those leaders who have been involved in that conflict. I mean, there are leaders in this country who have too much blood on them. Paka sometimes naambianga Mungu si tuone tu huruma. Kaa tulikukosea kama nchi, tunaomba tu msamaha, because we can't get to a point where as a nation, there's just too much blood that is associated with us as a nation.
I think ameambiwa ground is slippery. And so he needs to come there over and over and over again. Lazima aseme msangalire aimbe ile song yake nola ngwa, because the ground is very slippery. I think they assumed that with the baba in his pocket, then he's going to inherit the support that Baba had in Western Kenya. But things are not appearing to be that way. And I think it is going to be one of the many trips that the president is going to make in the Western region. Unfortunately, the people who he's depending on to give him support in the Western region might not do that. I'm talking about Musalia Mudavadi. He might not deliver Western Kenya. I'm talking about with Moses Wetangula. He might not deliver Western Kenya. He might deliver Bungoma. but he will not definitely deliver Western Kenya. And so the president, I think, has realized that he needs to do more of such tours, because even with the broad-based, I've told you previously in this show that even with the broad-based government, many in Western Kenya think that they are not benefiting in any way in this broad-based government. They think that all the goodies are going to one region, despite the fact that ODM has been largely been a Western Kenya Nyanza party. And so the feeling on the ground has been that the people of the Western Kenya are not benefiting even from this broad-based government. And I think it is President Ruto's idea that he needs to go back to the people, talk to them, promise all those issues, tell them they are going to, how he's going to build roads, peane 20 million kujenga kanisa, all those things, to just try and appease the people of Western region. But it's not going to be easy. You know, the ground is very slippery. If you hear what, for example, Halwale is talking, how he's talking, and he's the whip of the majority in the Senate. But I think the ground has forced him to, you know, kind of shift to the opposition. And you see him campaigning with Natembea for the Malava candidate, Panyako, who is a DAPK Kenya, DAPK candidate. And so it just shows you that the ground in Western is kind of slippery, and DAPK is making lots and lots of inroads in Western Kenya. You know, DAPK has been largely a Trans Nzoia Bungoma party, but I think Natembea's rhetoric is connecting with the people on the ground, and even ODM luminaries in Western Kenya will tell you that they are kind of worried that they might be losing grip of the Western Kenya.
I keep telling you, when you saw people cheering for Uhuru Kenyatta during Raila Amolo Odinga's burial, it was not so much of a cheer for him in as much as they love him. It was also an anti-Ruto thing. They were trying to show him, we are not happy with you, you know. And that is what Western will do. People are not here sometimes even to so much vote for the opposition candidates. They are here to teach UDA a lesson. They are here to punish UDA. They are here to show them that, you know, you guys can go to wherever you want to go to. Who want to take him a wheelbarrow? So UDA should stop wasting time on Western, should stop wasting time on, you know, Mbere North. There are certain places they need to stop wasting time and just concentrate on finishing their 2 years zenye zimebaki. I am happy that we saw the united opposition sitting together, and I'm happy that we saw them having a conversation. Lakini kuna watu specific nataka kuaddress.
Nani hao?
I told you that Matiang'i has got a genuine following, which we agree, and we support him, we like him, we'll never fight him. And then he has a few people who pretend to like Matiang'i, but those people work for Ruto. So what they do, they come to pretend to make a video that they are selling Matiang'i. But during that video, they are fighting Martha Karua, they are fighting Rigathi Gachagua, they are fighting Eugene Wamalwa, they are fighting Kalonzo Musyoka. Yani, wana fight united opposition more than anything else, alafu wanajifanya wanasema, my candidate is Matiang'i. But in real sense, you follow those people, you will realize that they never speak ill about William Ruto. They never talk about William Ruto. Hata tuseme Farouk Kibet ama this other guy, Oscar Sudi wakuja wafanye chochote. Those people will never speak. The only thing they do, they've been given a brief. And then muchape na mulime the united opposition and then pretend to say that your candidate is Matiang'i. We need to be very careful about those people. And also, we need to be very careful about these people because many of them are speaking Kikuyu. They've been told to go and do funny Kikuyu videos so that you convince the mountain that the candidate is Matiang'i and don't fight William Ruto and always fight. So they're always fighting Rigathi, they're always fighting Kalonzo. We are putting you on notice. Ujinga yenyu tunaijua. The united opposition is going to field one candidate. It can be Matiang'i, it can be Kalonzo, it can be Eugene, it can be Martha Karua. But I can tell you for free, we are so determined to take William Ruto home that every other person is willing to shelve their ambition. Hata kama Wakenya watasema ni Martha Karua, it's fine. Whoever it is the united opposition settles on, we shall all support that candidate ili tupeleke William Ruto home. But we can't say that without mentioning Sifuna.
Alisema mtoto wa Simba ni Simba.
Sifuna is a wonderful man and we must celebrate him. I am suspecting he could be vying for presidency in 2027. All indications are pointing towards that direction. And if he does, we will also support him. Anything that takes away from Ruto is good. So anything that makes Ruto's maths a minus is okay. Is okay. Hata we kama tukidiscover unaweza simama mahali na kura zingekuwa za Ruto usimame. Yes. Is okay. We'll be happy.
It is. Gachagua had gone silent for quite some time. Right, and we've seen him now resurfacing. Yes. Do you believe his agenda is still strong? He needs to ensure that actually they emerge victorious 2027.
He's come out saying things we said on this show some time back, that the people in the mountain walikuwa na vote wa matagi, wa makeki, wa madadhi, you know, that is you know, that's what the people of Mount Kenya were voting for. And I'm happy because he took, you know, Gachagua is a good student of politics. He took notice of Raila's battalion, and he says, look here, and he mentioned names of astute good leaders who are learned within the ranks and file of ODM. And he said one of the reasons why ODM has stood this long is because he has groundsmen like Sifuna and Babu Owino and so on and so on, people who are educated. And he started saying that the mountain has to stop the way they vote, and you have to start, you know, you can't be a very educated people, that you have very elite people, and then you are always looking for all the wrong people and giving them positions of leadership. The message he's sending is that the united opposition this time round shall not be looking for demagogues. They shall not be looking for people who can be bought for any coin. They shall not be looking for what you call affordable members of parliament. They shall be looking for people who are astute, people who are learned, people who can speak well, people who can understand the bills they pass in parliament. So on that one, I totally and 100% agree with Rigathi Gachagua, and I hope that the whole united opposition will be filling candidates who have got wisdom to go to parliament and even members of county assembly.
You know, we have seen learned people, lawyers, prominent lawyers who make very bad politicians, very bad leaders, you know, and you have seen some very modest, learned people who make some very good leaders, and so it's neither here or there. It's good to have knowledge, but it's not, it doesn't make you a good leader if you have a PhD, for example. I don't know if Fanyamabo thinks that the DP is a good leader because he's a professor. So it doesn't really make you a better leader that you have education. Leadership is very different from, you know, the knowledge you acquire from school. Just Gachagua saying the words that he says, he might be resonating with other people, but it gives that impression that he intimidates leaders. He he talks bad about leaders. He doesn't care about, you know, whether you are whether you are a Form 2 dropout or a Class 2 dropout. By the fact that people have elected you, you must have some respect, because those people, it's not Gachagua who elects people. It's not Gachagua who elected Kawanjiku. It is people. So,
Edwin, you're saying what Gachagua spoke about was uncalled for. It was demeaning.
It is demeaning to those leaders, actually, because you know, Gachagua has no mandate to elect anybody. He elects people in Madira and the president and the governor of Nyeri. That is it. There are people in that constituency of Kawanjiku who elected him. There are people in the constituency of, for example, Wairia was elected for 2 terms as a governor. Because he's called Wairia, now you want to demean him because he's called Wairia.
He is learned.
No, because that is what he was saying. Because you are giving me Kawanjiku, you are giving me Wamatinga, Wamakeki, Wamatangi.
You see, sometimes a leader is not the person who always tells you what you want to hear. Okay? A leader is the person who tells you the truth. Now, look at it this way. Embu elected a senator. When the Kericho governor was being impeached, the senator for Embu tried to ask questions. And everybody in Senate was struggling to understand what the senator for Embu is saying. Sikwa Ubaya, give him the Daily Nation. He can't read. Now, a bill in parliament is written in legal language. It's not written in Kiswahili. It's not written in any simple language. Let us be honest with one another. It is written in very difficult legal language. That's how it's written. Now you send a guy who can't read Taifa Leo to Senate, and then you start telling us that education is not a qualification for leadership. Let me tell you, some of the committees we have in Parliament are supposed to discuss very deep things. You have a committee, for example, on environment.
Yeah.
And they are discussing sustainable development. And they are wanajiuliza hii jina sustainable inawekwa mbele ya development imaanisha nini? Situtoe hii sustainable.
Yes.
Because this moron, for the lack of a better word, does not understand what this is about. The bulk of our bills, I mean, their Adani deal was brought before Parliament. Now, you've sent a guy to Parliament who can't read a paragraph in their Adani. He can't read. And then he goes to Parliament. What does he do? He says, put the question.
Yeah.
Then the fool passes it. And then he goes to Wananchi, and that's what they did. They tell Wananchi, atujui tulipitisha nini. I mean, come on. The easiest way to sell your airport as Kenyans is to get a guy who does not understand what is written and to send him to Parliament. You'd rather have a professor and put him to task and tell him, umesoma. Unataka kutuambia huko anajua kitu nuko napitisha. We can excuse some of those leaders. They don't know what they passed. There's a privatization bill now.
Yeah.
It's gone through. Yani, there are some of those people we can excuse them. If you ask that guy Modego, he'll tell you, Missy Jui nilisign nini. And it's true, he doesn't know. So right now our beaches are being sold because we think beaches are and I mean beach with a B-E, not B-I. They are loss-making outfits.
Yeah.
So I will not agree with him. This is the same guy. This one, unaona hapa.
Edwin Obuya.
If tomorrow Edwin Obuya wants to get a house help, Obuya atasema amefika form 4.
I don't deal with house
no, anataka mtu mwenye anaweza fanya CBC
ama mwenye anaweza kaandika shopping list.
Yes, na mtoto wake.
Yes.
But when it comes to his MCA,
yeah,
anasema birth certificate is enough.
So
birth certificate, wewe unataka house help akuwe na form 4. Lakini juu ni kwako. Lakini mali ya umma, an MCA goes to discuss billions. Nairobi sahi wana discuss billions, about 49 billion. Then you want to send to Nairobi County a guy who is seeing 9 zeros for the first time following a number. Then he's wondering why there are 9. You have to tell him that a billion has 9 zeros. And that fool is supposed to come and make a very serious decision. We have a health committee at Nairobi City County. That health committee is supposed to be headed by an MCA because he's the chairman of that health committee. Now, if you send a Form 1, and health is a devolved function, na kukose vitu zingine kwa hospitali, how are you going to explain to Kenyans? So I am saying that number 1 is ethics. I'm not saying we go and look for the most corrupt individuals and make them leaders, but number 1 is ethics. After ethics is education. So let's get an ethical person who is educated. Then you'll get a leader. But the problem with us, we want to get a moron who is educated, and then we create a justification that to say educated people are bad. Hapana, sisi hatuwezi somesha watoto wetu wakaongozwa na wale wakusoma. No way. That's not the reason I'm taking my children to school.
Igunza will tell you for free. Bad laws are passed because we have some very educated, clever people in Parliament who make an excuse out of it and try to, explain to you. Like Fanyamambo will explain. Lawyers actually, I want to believe that lawyers are one of the people who are a problem to our society, our politics actually.
Yeah.
Because if you brought here Fanyamambo, who is now on the DCP side, and you brought here another lawyer who is now on UDA side, they will all argue and they will all try to convince you that their point of argument is the right side of
that's
the
the truth.
And that's the problem that we have as a society. The role of a member of Parliament is to represent. You don't have to have a PhD to represent.
And to legislate.
And to oversight. All those things you can do. And get me right, I'm not saying that education is not important. I'm just saying that education cannot be the only thing that can be the reason as to why somebody should go into leadership.
And that's why he said ethics should be number 1, number 2 should be education.
Ethics and ethics.
Like integrity, yeah.
Integrity should be the main issue because, for example, Ichungwa is a well-learned man, very well-learned. Alienda hii shule inaitwanga aje Alliance. He tells us every day when he stands up to speak, he went to Alliance High School. And so he's not a fool. He's a clever man, but he's the one who sponsors all these bills, government bills to come to parliament. Who sponsors the privatization bill? Was it Sudi, who is a Form 2 dropout? No, it was Ichungwa. Who sponsored who brought the Adani deal? Was it Salasia? Salasia is learned, but was he the one who brought the Adani deal? So the issue is that people who are learned have just decided to throw away their moral. They are living on borrowed values.
So they know how to circumvent and circumlocate.
And you know, whether President Ruto was learned or not, the fact is that if he gives an order, whether you have a PhD, whether you attend a model or not, you are going to follow that order.
It's a directive.
It's a directive. Whether Raila was a class 2 dropout or a Form 2 dropout, if we give an order, Otenda Molo will follow.
Executive
order. Hana otherwise.
As we wind up, government is not paying people who supplied, who worked, who offered services to them, pending bills. And we saw just a man the other day, I think in Kisumu, who actually took his life because he was being harassed. And his payments have been held for quite a long time. Very briefly, Fanyamambo, what does this tell us?
Actually, it's a government that lacks priorities. Right now, they have a lot of money to go and buy motorbikes and maharagwe ya kupatia watu wafure tumbo, but they don't have money to pay those people who have supplied them with critical things, including medicine, including, hospital supplies and so on and so forth. I think it's a high time we came up with a law, a law that compels government to pay you within 90 days after you've supplied. Yeah, because now we've gotten to a place, but it's not just suicide. Sikuna moja alitokea pale City Hall akiwa amevaa boxer peke yake. Yes, and he was screaming. He was just in a boxer.
Baba ya mtu.
Yeah, they are called poor millionaires. Mtu anakatiwa mpaka stima kwake na government owes you 50, 60, 70 million. But also when their own cronies supply, zile supplies zimefanywa na cronies wa gava this year, they've been paid. Have you seen
some of which the air?
Have you seen a total idiot weighing money? Alifika mahali pesa imekuwa mingi sana ile ametuibia sisi. Hana time ya kucount. Na of course ni mjinga ajui kucount. So anapima kilo then ana store so that mkiiba atakuja apime pesa yake kilo. When we get to that place and this person mshahara yake haiwezi mwalawa kuwe na pesa kama hiyo. And then there are people who are starving. It is painful.
Sometimes when you talk about these stories, we think that in a story too, until it hits home. Because if you know a friend who has lost everything and si atiana pesa, ni pesa yake hajalipwa. Alichukua loan akamobilize akaenda kufanya kazi kwa county. Sasa county inasema kwamba national government haijatuma pesa kwa county ndio amlipe. Na kwa hiyo county hata kabla ulipwe lazima uongee na Igunza kando umwambie ndugu si tufanye
hivi. Lazima
nitakupatia ka 10% hapa wewe. It's just corruption. It's
very sad.
That's all it is. And when you hear government saying that everything is okay, the economy is improving, and you wonder, improve wapi? But Igunza, we must, before we finish, we must talk about what happened in Elgeyo Marakwet. I think it's a sad situation, and we send our thoughts and condolences to the families of those who are affected. Until now, 32 people have lost their lives. And hiyo ni village. Unajua, just picture a village huko nyumbani, 32 people losing lives. It's a sad situation. And how we pray that the government will react fast and make sure that the humanitarian aid that is needed in that village is received.